So what we're going to be talking about today is my unopened copy of Super Mario Brothers for the NES. Oh! So this thing is pretty cool for obvious reasons. One, the fact that it's an unopened copy of one of the most important games ever made. But two, it's kind of cool because I only paid $2 for it. And as you can see, it's not in the best shape. The cellophane has a few holes in it. The box is kind of smushed, and I know a reason for that that I'll tell you in just a sec. But, I mean, it's an unopened copy of Super Mario Bros. It's actually the only copy of Super Mario Bros. I own that doesn't have Duck Hunt attached to it. But I'm not ever going to open it or anything. I'm never going to sell it either, because it's just something cool that I like having on my shelf. It's a conversation piece. It's a conversation piece. I was at a rummage sale once with my parents, and this was about 10 years ago, so I was just out of high school, and they had a lot of baby clothes there. They had like little kid toys and stuff like that, and really nothing was on sale or for sale that was for someone over the age of 3. So I really wasn't interested at all. But in the corner, I did happen to see a couple stacks, in fact, of VHS tapes. And I'm like, well, maybe there'll be something over there, whatever. I'm kind of bored. I'll just go randomly search through these VHS tapes. Most of them were like home movies or like bootleg tapes and stuff, like for $2. And I'm like, okay, well, on the very bottom, I just happened to see this part of the box. And I'm like, that's not a VHS tape. And so I started digging, and lo and behold, sitting on the bottom was this guy, covered up by VHS tapes that just stacked like 2.5 feet high. I'm like, what the fuck is that? That's not a VHS tape. So I started pulling VHS tapes off, and I see the very back side of Super Mario Brothers, and I'm like, no way. It's got like the actual seam that's in the center of the back of the cartridge, and I knew right then, and like, this is an unopened NES game, and that's pretty cool. And then I flipped it over, and right around in this area, there was a sticker that said $2. And I'm like, that can't be right. So I grabbed it, because I'm thinking this is worth like $80 to $100. And I go up to the lady, I said, hey, is this the price on it? And she's like, yeah, that's what I'm selling it for. I'm like, you're selling it for $2? And she's like, yep. And I'm like, well, I want to buy it. And I said, just so you know, it's probably worth more than that. And she's like, I don't care, I just want to get rid of it. And I'm like, okay. So I gave her $2, and I walked away, and I went home and I looked up the price, and one had just sold on eBay about a week prior to that for $800 that was in worse shape than this. So I'm like, I just stumbled across a gold mine. So suddenly my mind's filling up with like images of, I'm gonna sell this thing, I'm gonna make a shit ton of money, I'm gonna buy a whole library of games and a brand new system for my retro collection. And then I got to thinking about it. I'm like, you know, I really would feel bad if I like sold this for a profit after only paying $2 for it. And plus, I mean, it's pretty cool. Like, it's something that sits on my shelf, something that I'm never gonna open for any reason. It's literally the only thing I own that is in its original packaging, because everything, I've never been one of those people like, I gotta get something in the original packaging. This is the one exception that I have. So yeah, I decided I'm never gonna sell it. I'm never gonna open it. I'll pass it down to, I don't know, kids or nieces and nephews or whoever, if I ever have any younger family members like that. And if I don't, maybe I will sell it before I die and have like a hooker and coke party on a yacht in the middle of the ocean or something, because, I mean, 80 years from now, it could be worth a mint. Or not, I don't know. And if you're thinking like, oh, that was 10 years ago, what's the value now? Well, actually, it dropped about $300. I looked just before I started recording this, and the prices dropped to about $500. In fact, one just sold that was in way better condition than this one is, because this one's got like holes and shit all over the packaging, and the box is all crinkly, and I think there's even some water damage right there. One just sold for around $500 on eBay about a month ago, and it was in way better condition than this one, so this isn't worth jack squat. But, I mean, 10 years ago, that's when retro gaming was just making its comeback, so everybody's like, oh my god, everything that's retro is suddenly worth a fortune. Well, now we're finding out that that ain't so much the case. There's a lot more of the retro stuff lying around than we once thought. So, If this increases in value, cool. If it ends up being worth $1 when I'm 80 years old, that'll be cool too. And I honestly don't really care what it's worth. It's just something that I like having on my shelf. It's something that is a conversation starter. It's something that I can use to introduce people to my collection. It's something I have in my collection. And I just really enjoy having it around. So it's a pretty cool little thing.